The first time I noticed something was off, it was a quiet Thursday evening in early May. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, painting the cul-de-sac in amber shadows. A rustling noise came from the far corner of my yard, where the fence met the overgrown bushes. My heart thumped as if warning me something or someone was wrong. Whoever it was moved cautiously, almost like they knew they weren't welcome, and yet I couldn't see a face in the dim light. I'm Alex. I live in Crestwood, a small suburban town in Virginia, with my modest home mortgage still hanging over me. Life was simple before the HOA drama began. Quiet nights, weekend barbecues, and the occasional neighborhood softball game. I took pride in maintaining my lawn, my small vegetable patch, and the peace I worked hard to build. Then there's Darren. He drove a glossy black Escalade-style SUV everywhere, clipboard always in hand, and treated the neighborhood like his personal kingdom. He had an uncanny ability to appear at the exact moment trouble might surface, always with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He called an emergency meeting one Monday, waving his clipboard around as if it were a scepter. "Alex," he said, voice dripping with authority, "it's come to our attention that you've been encroaching on neighboring property, stealing land, essentially." My stomach sank. I had no idea what he was talking about, and yet his gaze dared me to argue. The email notice he sent after the meeting was polite in wording, but threatening in undertone. I forced a smile, nodded, and promised to look into it, though unease had already taken root. 2 weeks later, the situation escalated. May 14th, 7:32 a.m., I stepped outside to find bright orange reserved parking signs planted across my driveway. The paint on my fence had been scratched, and a note pinned to the front door accused me of tampering with community boundaries. I recognized Darren's handwriting instantly. He had done this deliberately. My patience snapped, and I decided this was no longer a matter of politeness. I called in Crestline Surveys, a small but reputable surveying company, to document everything. On May 15th, 2:15 p.m., their team arrived, measuring, marking, and photographing every corner of my property. The first clue was minor, a slightly misaligned post at the edge of my yard that Darren had exaggerated into a violation. Then came the shocker. Video footage from their drone revealed markings he had made on my property weeks earlier, attempting to reassign boundary lines to his favor. Every claim he had made was meticulously documented, time-stamped, and ready to be exposed. I couldn't help but recall the first rustling at the bushes. It had been him, inspecting his handiwork in secret. That's when my lawyer stepped in. Rachel Miller walked into my living room with a confident smile. "Looks like someone forgot the first rule of evidence," she said, tapping her briefcase. From Law and Locke Associates, she brought order to the chaos. With her, my confidence returned, and I realized this wasn't just about land. It was about principle. Court day arrived at the Fairfax County Courthouse May 22nd, 10 a.m. Darren sat there, clipboard in hand, trying to smile. But the first cracks appeared when Rachel laid out the surveyor's evidence. Photographs, drone footage, and timestamps contradicted every accusation he had made. The courtroom felt heavy, tension crawling like electricity in the air. I remained calm, my hands folded, watching as the villain I'd tolerated for weeks began to sweat under the weight of proof. By May 24th, the judge's ruling was delivered. Darren had 15 days to remove all unauthorized signs and restore my driveway to its original condition. Any further infractions would result in a fine of $5,000 per day. He sat frozen, fists clenched, face red, realizing the authority he had wielded was slipping from his grasp. Silence filled the courtroom, louder than any argument could have been. The payoff came 2 days later. I hired Apex Property Restoration to repaint the driveway in fresh asphalt tones, and Crestline Surveys returned to remove the planted signs and confirm boundaries were legally restored. As I watched Darren pull into the street in his Escalade, only to find every inch of the contested land clearly marked with private property signage and a small firm stack of my restored survey documents on display, I felt a calm satisfaction. His smug grin was gone, replaced by muttered curses and flustered panic as neighbors observed quietly from their porches. Every gesture, every voice, every expression of defeat was perfectly captured by the visual memory I had created. Weeks later, the cul-de-sac was peaceful again. Proof. If you think evidence always wins, like, share, and subscribe for more stories.